work. And yes, did you know? It's a little white golf ball that's still being knocked around in the professional ranks. It's Donnie writes out, it's Joe Ranieri, and it's Keith Stewart. You got to get us caught up to date here. Just because we're winding down on 2025 doesn't mean, Keith, we don't have some golf to talk about. How's it going this morning?
Joe, Donnie, pleasure to be with you. It's a week on, a week off, but the PGA Tour, they're making some moves. We're going out to Utah again for the Bank of Utah Championship.
How about that? The Bank of Utah Championship here, Keith. We said the Black Desert Resort Golf Course in Utah, which usually means we're playing at elevation, and these guys can smash some golf balls. So most people say, well, hey, the Ryder Cup's done. Like, why are we still playing tournaments? Keith, lay it out for the people. What happens from today through the end of the year till we start the next official season, I guess you could say, of the PGA Tour?
Donnie, you know what? Nobody does it better. You are the GPS of the PGA Tour. Let me break it down for you, for sure. Including this event, we have 4 more left on the schedule. If you're looking for your card, just your regular card for the PGA Tour, you got to be in the top 100 on those FedEx Cup points list. And then if you as a little extra bonus, a little carrot at the end of the stick, if you're top 10, if you're between points 51 and 60, then you get in those 2 early signature events, the one out there at AT&T and then Tiger's event at Riviera, the Genesis. So those are a big deal. And you got a lot of guys in this field. You've got 21 guys in the top 100, and then you've got another couple of guys in the top 50. After that, in this 132-man field, you've got over 100 players that are outside the top 100 in the world. Last year, we saw Matthew McCartney come off of the KFT Corn Ferry Tour, and then he won right away. The guy sets himself up for the next couple of years on the PGA Tour. I think we're going to see a similar story like that this week. I'm going deeper down the odds board because this thing's an absolute birdie fest.
It's interesting that you say that too, because yes, I'm sure that the under par to win this thing is going to be crazy. But if I'm right, if I remember correctly, Keith, these greens are huge, which means that somebody better be able to keep it within 2. You can hit the green, but 3-putting becomes an issue here. So what are some of the stats? Are we looking at better putters here? What wins this tournament here altogether?
Joe, perfect transition into Keith's keys. Say that 3 times twice, right? Hey, first thing you got to do is avoid those 3 putts. That was the first thing on my list, Joe, and you brought it up, right? Average green size, 7,000 square feet, right? Vegas has the over-under at 21.5. So they expect you to make some putts. And, I said this last year on the show a year ago, and that is when you go to a new venue, the number 1 strokes gained stat that correlates is putting. Good putters can read new greens and they can control their speed. There was a ton of 3-putting issues last year. It was 14% over for the average, over the PGA Tour average for the field at this event. Big greens, guys were all over the place. And you know what? With wide fairways, everyone says, oh, geez, this is a bomber's paradise. But Donnie brought it up a second ago. We're playing at 3,000 feet of elevation, which means you're going to lose about 3% of the distance, maybe almost 4% of the distance. So you don't necessarily have to be a bomber. And a little bit of a secret tip here, guys. Yes, we played here last October, but the LPGA, which you guys know I follow and I handicap, they played here in May. And I do not see a correlation. All the pundits this week are going to be saying, hey, you got to take the bombers. You got to take the bombers. Well, on the LPGA side and the PGA Tour side last year and in May, that didn't correlate. You got to take the best ball strikers. This is an approach playground. The guys there's 51 acres of fairway, Joe. 51, right? You and I can hit the fairway. It's not a problem, right? You got to be able to hit it close. And then after that, you got to be able to putt. And of course, the last thing is that, people will talk about, there's a bunch of par 4s over 500 yards. Well, guess what? At that elevation, they're not as long as you think. You want those guys that are really good at mid-iron shots, 170 yards, 175 yards or greater is about 52% of your approach shots. So as we're building out our betting cards, you're looking for guys that can definitely putt, guys that are good in that mid-iron range, and then also the guys that are really, really solid when it comes to striking the golf ball. You don't have to be a bomber.
Keith, let's do it on a Wednesday morning as we wait for another tournament to happen. The early leans on the early line. What are they?
All right, I love this kid right now, Michael Thorbjornsen. Not just because I get to call him Thor, but because this kid, not only does he you know what? He does bomb it, but he's really, really accurate. He gained 12 strokes on the field over in Japan, the other side of the world, and this kid's killing it, right? And he's an absolute straight flusher of the golf ball, but his putter has been popping lately. He started the week at plus 1,800 on FanDuel. He's down to plus 1,400. So, people are thinking the same thing I am. At the elite level of this leaderboard, I think he's definitely someone to pay attention to. Now, much further down the board, I've got a guy by the name of Taylor Montgomery. Now, Taylor Montgomery, he started the week at plus 8,000. He's down to plus 7,000. Another good trend on the market. But Taylor Montgomery's dad is the general manager and director of golf at Shadow Creek. Shadow Creek out in Las Vegas is very similar to the Black Desert Resort course that we're going to this week. It is absolutely played at elevation there at Las Vegas. And you, of course, have these really, really intricate greens there. If you've ever played Shadow Creek, you have definitely three-putted multiple times. Taylor Montgomery is one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. Tied 6th at the Sanderson. He gained almost 9 strokes with the flat stick, and he gained another 2 on approach. That is the recipe we're looking for this week. So I love a little Thor, and I love a little T. Monty.
Love this. I can't believe it. So we've got, and I love these kinds of tournaments this time of year, Keith, because we're talking big numbers here, right? I mean, there's no 2-1, 3-1 Scotty Scheffler in these tournaments. This is where we can cash some lotto tickets.
Absolutely. I mean, Michael Thorbjornsen and Matt McNeely, those guys, they're sitting there in the mid-teens, and those are your favorites. But the guys that win this event are the guys that are really going to contend. That leaderboard is going to be filled. It's going to be absolutely filled with guys in that like plus 5,000 to plus 10,000 range. There's going to be a ton of money to make in the placement market. You're going to get definitely some top 10s that are going to come from deeper down that odds board. There's so many ways to make money this week. And I tell you what, guys, I mean, this is absolutely something that we're going to see coming down the road. These guys are going to be playing against each other more and more, because as Brian Rolapp builds out his Super PGA Tour, we're going to see a lot more events like this. So pay attention to everyone on the leaderboard.
I love it. Also, there's a guy named Unknown on the leaderboard at FanDuel at 1,000 to 1. You can bet right now, people. You know it is not an unknown. That's Keith Stewart. That's our guy on the PGA. We'll talk to him again next week. Have fun, people, betting the PGA. We will too.